So, do you ever have the need to charge a LiPo battery up really fast? Maybe like me, you've got something like the Venom Pro Quad charger, which will charge 4 batteries at once at a total of 4x100 watts. Or you might try something like this, which is the Toolkit M8S, 400 watts, charging 1 battery at once. How fast do you think it's going to do that? Pretty damn quick is the answer. Well, welcome to my Toolkit M8S battery charger review. But before I dig into the detail on this, let me talk you through my current battery charger setup. Well, let me show you my current charger, which is the Venom Pro Quad 4x100 watt charger. So it's a total output of 400 watts, but just 100 per channel. However, the Toolkit M8S kicks that full 400 watts out through just one channel. Now, as you'll see in just a minute, the Toolkit M8S is an extremely powerful charger, but I don't hide anything away from you on this channel, and there is one thing you should know about the Toolkit M8S, and that despite it being small in size, you are going to need a power supply this size to give it that 400 watts of power. So I thought it fair at the outset to show you that, so that no one is misled thinking they're buying this tiny little charger and then finding that need that big power supply as well. The links to both the charger and the power supply are below this video. So what makes this thing so special? Well, as I said, the Venom Pro Quad charger is 400 watts, but that's 400 watt channels. This is a single 400 watt charger. Not only that, it can charge 1 to 8S LiPo batteries. But so if you're wanting a charger for those, that's definitely something to be considering. More to the point, a lot of these smaller Chinese cars and electronic devices that come with a USB charger for the LiPo on there, that's because it's only a 1S LiPo. So this charger is stated as being able to charge from 1S to 8S. So if you're wanting to fast charge 1S batteries, this is also something worthy of considering. Anyway, let me show you around the outside of the charger and then do a quick demonstration of its features. And this thing is feature packed. Well, first of all, let's take a look at the outside of the M8S. Here we've got a very high power 2.1 amp USB charging port. And this little socket here is an input-output receiver tester for PWM, PPM and S-Bus receivers, as well as a flight control tester. Now that receiver testing function, if anybody knows more about that and can explain it in the comment section below this video, yours truly would be much appreciative of that. I think it's more in relation to flight related activities than it is RC car activities, but undoubtedly one of you people out there will have the answer to it. On the back we've got a power input and 2 output cooling fans. On this side we have the balance lead input. Now note that says 2 to 8S, but the paperwork says 1 to 8S, and next to it we have the yellow high power output lead. If you leave the smart charger on for too long, it starts making this beeping noise, alerting you to the fact that you've left it on. But you touch any of the buttons and the beeping noise stops because it knows you're on top of things. So what can this do? Anyway, to give you some of the specs on this, it can handle 1 to 8S LiPos, it can handle 1 to 20S nickel metal hydride cells, and 1 to 10 PB cells on here. It will charge at 300 watts at 15 amps input to it, but more importantly, it'll charge at 400 watts with 18 amps going in the back of it. A little bit of a misdescription in this here maybe, it reads as though it will discharge at 15 amps. It will actually just discharge at 3 amps, which is still not too bad nonetheless, but I thought I should put that out nice and early on. Well, first of all, it can charge lithium polymer batteries, LiHV batteries, LiFe batteries, nickel metal hydride batteries and lead batteries. And it can charge, discharge and provide balance management for the majority of those. It's also got a built-in power meter and signal source, so that socket on the side can be used for testing your receivers. Anyway, let me do a few practical demonstrations of it charging and discharging. Now, you can use it as a charger and discharger, and more on that in just a second, but also first of all, I'm going to talk you through the measuring function because I've plugged this Venom LiPo in and there's one serious problem, and that is when I press measurer. By the way, you just move around all the functions using this jog dial, very easy to use. So back to measurer. Press OK, it's a press click on there. Press OK to measure battery voltage and internal resistance. So I'm going to press OK, and whoa! We've got 2 batteries here, 2 cells here, one at 3.9 and one at 3.85 or 3.6. What's the problem, Richie? This is a 3S pack. So there should be one cell there in the middle that is missing. So this tells me immediately I've got a major problem wrong with this LiPo that I've plugged in to test. But just to show you on here, you can show the percentage of battery life left on there, as well as the individual cell voltages on there, and scanning down. Now by default there it's showing LiPo, but if it wasn't LiPo battery, if it was something else, scan down, press enter, and you can scroll around between lithium ion, lithium polymer, etc. on the side there. So back to LiPo and out of there. Well, not only can you use it to measure the signal input from your battery, you can also measure things like PWM, PPM, S-bus, ESC, etc. on there. Now, I mentioned the features on this side of the card. You can also get it to generate an output. So we can generate PWM, PPM, S-bus functions on there. Okay, to start power supply. Now, I'm not entirely sure on these, and as I said, they're related to this. Anyone wants to explain that in more detail? We'd love to hear from you. If you like what you see today, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get straight to it and get to the charger. Now, the first thing is you can actually add and store different batteries on here. So if you move along, you can add different ones on. So you can store your LiPo favourites in here. And into the core charging functions on here, when you scroll down, you can scroll down to LiPo, you press that, you can change the type of battery it is, lithium LiHV, LiFe, lithium ion, nickel metal hydride, etc, etc. And once you've selected one of those, if you press OK again, you can then scan down, you can change the end voltage of the individual cells on there. Cell selection, auto on there. So you might want to, let's go down to selecting auto. You can change 1S, 2S, 3S, 4S, 5S, right the way up to 8S predictably. Okay, so I'm going to scan back to auto, leave it on there. You've got charge current and discharge current on there. Now for discharging, you can only go up to a maximum of 3 amps. Won't go any higher discharge rate than that. Okay, charging current on here. These are 3200 milliamp LiPo pack that I've got fitted on there, so I'm going to change that, quickly spinning round, 3.2 amps on there. Well, now I've set my battery current on there. I'm then going to scan down to charge, fingers crossed, all being well. We're ready to go, and then we can monitor the individual cell voltages on there, percentage that the battery is full, total charging time displayed on the top. Well, I have to say the rate it is charging at is simply ridiculous. We're already up to 94% on here in like half a minute on there. Crazy fast in my mind. So that is the basics of the charging function on there. I'd seen other people like skimp through this and not maybe drill down into some of the details as to how to set things like the current on the battery on there. You do need to take a little bit of care, because to start with there was some problem with battery error, and it was just yours truly having pushed it one pin over further than it should have been in there. Now this charge is stated as being from 1S to 8S, yet on the side here it's got 2S to 8S written on. That is because the 1S packs, you buy an adapter for plugging into here. The 1S packs don't plug into here. So to charge your 1S packs, you will need to buy an adapter, but it looks a fairly cheap option from Banggood or Amazon. And we're already up to 98%, so nearly done. Very, very impressed with the speed on this indeed. And as I say, that display fully functional up to 8S. Cells on, we've been running for 2 minutes 40 now, and already up to 98%. I think what we're on about 84 or so when we started, so that's pretty good going. We've got our resistances on there. Doesn't mean a lot to me, but I'm sure it will to someone. Also tells you how many watts it's using at any one time on there. So I think it's pretty much nearly done. Showing is 100%, but the alarm hasn't cut in yet, and I'm assuming it's going to cut in and alert me to the fact that it's fully charged. Now, I am wondering, if I press exit at this stage, what happens? Stop working. Okay, so I will do. But I've been charged that LiPo battery. I'm now going to scan across and put it into storage charge mode. Press OK. Tells me the volts it's taking it down to, 3.85. Press OK. And that's just going to leave it to do its thing. So I'll come back to that 5 minutes, or more like 5 seconds, with you in real time. Okay, well, coming back to it at 5 minute stage, people, it's already taken it down to 91%. All the cells reasonably balanced out on there. So the discharging function seems to be working quite well, discharging at just 1.1 amps. In a minute, we'll discharge a maximum of 3 amps. I'm not sure quite how you increase the discharge rate on here without reading the manual. Now, when it comes to the settings function, scrolling down to that, You've got things like lowest input voltage on here, so say this will take between 7 and 30 volts in the back of it. Input power maximum 450 watts. Safe temperature on here, which that's interesting. You can set the temperature on there. 100 safe timer, 120 minutes, which is typical for this kind of thing. That safe timer is very useful because with some lipos you will find occasionally they simply don't want to reach the 100% charge on there. Discharge mode, inter, I'm not quite sure what that is. Lots and lots of settings to play around with on here. Audible beat, S plus failure, whip, backlight, buzzer, continuous work. Oh, a whole host of things on here for you to browse in your own time. Well, there we have it, guys. Hopefully I've shown you that with the Toolkit M8S you have got a colossal amount of charger in a very small compact space for the money. Yeah, sure, you're going to need to get that power supply to go with it. This, yours for under 60 bucks, and I think that's about $26 for the power supply. Slight downside to it, you're going to need to get some sort of XT60 connector adapter on there for maybe connecting to your other leads, but I think you can buy an adapter board for this that gives you a feed out to different other leads. Hope that kind of makes sense on there, but I have to say, 59 bucks versus 220 for that Venom Pro Quad. Okay, the Venom Pro Quad you can charge the 4 batteries at once, but if you don't have that requirement, but you do have just like a big 4S or a big 8S or a big 6S pack that you need to charge, then I would definitely say this should be on your list for consideration. Highly impressed with it. I wasn't quite sure what to make of it to start with, but once I got to grips with it, scanned through the functions, the manual is, well, it's not like a manual, it's just like minuscule on that. A lot of it you just need to do by trial and error, but the display is fairly intuitive, as is the jog wheel to use and operate. Anyway, a link to this and that very noisy power supply below the video. But then again, my Venom Pro Quad on full chat with all 4 channels running is quite loud anyway. Anyway, I hope you found this review of the Toolkit M8S battery charger useful. An ideal thing to take out in the field with you if you've got a big battery source to plug in with it as well. Thanks for watching. Well, thumbs up if you like this video, guys. Post any comments you might have in the comment section below the video and hit the circle below to subscribe. And if you do hit the circle, don't forget to hit the bell.